Shalom, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So today we'll learn about taking out the Torah during the week, but also a little bit touching on Shabbos. And then when we learn about Shabbos, we'll touch about it again. Just to answer the question from yesterday, the Mincha of Shabbat was established in that same passage in Baba Kama by Ezra, and it was because of people who are Yoshvei Kranot. We don't know for sure what that means, but sometimes it means people who are you know, unemployed and therefore too lazy to go to a communal gathering. And so, they'll rather play backgammon in the souk instead of going to this booth where the Torah was. So that way on Shabbat afternoon, when really nobody is working, that's when they established it. And so there was an interesting question from 1968 that the Tzitz Eliezer was asked, which was, are you allowed to pray Mincha right after praying Musaf? And he said, absolutely not. And even Torah reading, if you read it right after, like in order to save yourself another trip to the shul, if there was like a luncheon or something like that, only if it was after the time of 6.5 halachic hours are you allowed to do that, and then you should daven the whole mincha with the Torah reading, but otherwise you must come back again to read it at mincha. But it's an obligation on the community, not an obligation on the individual. So it is customary to recite verses of scripture when opening the ark, when the Torah is escorted to the bima, and when it is brought back to the ark as printed in the Sidurim, each ethnic group or movement in Judaism according to its custom. So Ashkenazim are accustomed to first say Eler Chapayim, that's on the weekday, which is not recited on days that there is no Tachnun. And after several verses, they recite Brich Shmei, which is from the Zohar. I think we can safely say now that the Ashkenaz Minhag, this is the only passage from the Zohar that Ashkenazim read. The Sephardim are only accustomed to recite Brich Shmei on Shabbat and festivals, though some communities say it on Rosh Chodesh as well. The Chazan holds the Torah scroll with his right hand, and when he says Gadlu, he raises it a little, because Gadlu literally means to make great, and so to rise up. On Shabbat and festivals, he elevates it slightly when he says Shema and Echad as well. After that, he walks to his right to take the Torah to the Bima, where it is read. So the shuls at the Bima is in the center of the shul, and you can do like a round and a half and come in from the right side of the bima, but ours is at the front right by the ark, and so we actually make a full turn, and then when we return it from the left side because we're going again to the right, to the right, and to the right. It is customary that people kiss the Torah as it passes and partially escort it on its way. So just like you would escort an important person for amot, which is about 6 feet, that's what is appropriate. Most people are accustomed to kiss the Torah directly with their lips, yet some touch it with their hand and then kiss their hand. It is not proper for a person who is sick or has a cold to kiss the Torah directly with his mouth, so as not to infect the other people praying. And I think also hand when we're trying to make sure that germs don't pass. In our community, a lot of people use the siddur, and then page 452 and 454 of the siddur get ripped because of the pressure. So I've asked them not to do that. The hand is okay. And before the reading, it is the task of the Gabbai to prepare the Torah scroll at the proper place so that it will not have to be rolled there in public, because it is disrespectful to compel the congregation to wait. Generally, there is no need to prepare the scroll since the reading is conducted according to the order of the weekly Torah portions, and thus the Torah is opened to the place where the previous reading left off. However, on festivals, Rosh Chodesh, and fast days, the Torah is read out of its usual order, and it is necessary to prepare the Torah scroll ahead of time. Afterwards, it must be rolled back to the order of the weekly Torah portion, but not on Shabbat, because if you do that on Shabbat, you are preparing, and Yantiv, you are preparing from Shabbat and Yantiv for a regular day. So at Motzei Shabbos or Motzei Yantiv, the Gabbai or whoever volunteers should come and roll it. Lucky for us, that's how I see it. The reading for Tisha B'Av is different from a regular fast day, And so since we're going to read Beit Hanan the following week, it is amazing that we just have to roll 2 pages back and we're already in the Torah reading for Tisha B'Av. So that's coming up in a few weeks. And almost just, I don't know, just over 4 weeks now. If by mistake a different Torah scroll was taken out, the prevalent custom is not to switch it, meaning that it was taken out so we don't disrespect the Torah scroll, even though the congregation will have to wait until it is rolled to the place of the reading. Nevertheless, that is part of the honor shown to the Torah scroll. Once it is removed from the ark, it is not replaced by another. For example, if we're accustomed to put on our talit before our tefillin in the morning, so if a person reaches for his talit but actually pulls out the bag of the tefillin, the halacha is that you have to put on the tefillin because of the rule en ma'avir mitzvot. You don't pass by a commandment that was already in your hand. Some say in order not to waste the congregation's time, it is permitted to switch a Torah scroll, which was removed mistakenly, even if it was already placed onto the bima. In times of need, when the congregation is strict about its time, we may rely on that opinion, but of course that is not the recommended time. So let's talk about the Hagbaha and return to the ark, as we have a few minutes, if it opens. The Chachamim sages established that the Torah scroll be lifted and its letters displayed to the whole congregation. The original minhag was to lift the Torah before the reading, which is the custom of the Sephardim and a few Ashkenazim, as well as that of the Ari. Most Ashkenazim follow the custom of lifting the Torah after the reading, so that everyone will know that the essential objective is to hear the words being read. After the reading, the Torah is displayed to the nation. That's what the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah and the Mishnah Berurah conclude. The lifting Hagbaha is so important. The Chachamim said that the Golel, referring to the person who lifts the Torah, because at that time the Torah was mostly like the Sephardi one, which is already in a box, so you don't need to roll it, receives a reward equivalent to all those called to the Torah. Therefore, it is proper to give the honor of Hagbaha to one of the distinguished people in the community. Today, it is customary to honor even ordinary congregants with Hagbaha, although the more correct minhag is to give the honor to respected person of the community. Again, we have to also make sure that it doesn't fall, so we have to have somebody who knows what they're doing and picking it up properly. The Chatchila, at the time of Hagbaha, it is necessary for the Torah scroll to be held open at the place it was read, though if it was not, it is not necessary to lift it again. Regarding an Ashkenazi Torah scroll, the one who's lifting it must open the Torah so that it is possible to see 3 columns. Some lift the Torah and turn it only slightly to the left and slightly to the right, but many people from the congregation standing in front of the bima cannot see the writing. Therefore, the person doing Hagbaha must make sure that all the people praying can see the letters of the Torah. It is best if he slowly turns a full circle, thereby enabling everyone to see it. It is a mitzvah for all men and women who see the writing to say Vizot Torah. We already discussed that. We only say the full pasuk without Al Pi Hashem Biad Moshe. And to conclude, the Ashkenazim are accustomed to say Yehi Ratzon when the Torah is being rolled and covered, except on days that Tachnun is not recited. According to the Ashkenazic minhag and the custom of some Sephardim, Torah scroll is returned to the ark after the Torah reading, again during the week, and before the recital of Ashrei. The Hasidic minhag and the custom of most Sephardim is to return the Torah to the ark after Uval Tzion and Kaddish Titkabal. So I'll end with that, and I'll just say that because we are reading Parshat Balak, we couldn't be more attached to the Parsha, as in the third and last blessing that Balaam gives us, he says, Ma tovu alecha Yaakov mishenotecha Yisrael, and the simple meaning, according to Rashi, is the tents of the Jewish people were not facing each other, as we just learned in Baba Batra about Hezek Reya, about the damage that is done by somebody seeing somebody else's business in their backyard or even inside their house. And so that's the simple meaning. But Rashi also brings the opinion of the rabbis that Matov Alecha Yaakov Mishkanetecha Israel is actually talking about the Mishkan, the tabernacle. And so in the tabernacle, of course, Moshe was told in Parshat Truma that the whole purpose of the ark was to, or Truma or Tetzaveh, that the whole purpose of the ark was to hold the luchot, the broken and complete tablets, and it's called Aron HaEdut because the Edut is the testimony of the tablets. And last but not least, next to the ark, after Moshe wrote the final on his final day, he wrote the Torah. He completed 13 Torah scrolls. The one that was supposed to be for the Levites was placed next to or inside the ark, depending on which version they have in the Talmud. So I think it's an amazing connection and learning about lifting the Torah, reading the Torah for Ma Tovu Alecha Yaakov, and truly we try to make our Mishkan, our Mikdash Me'at, our synagogues to be as sanctified and as special for this process that requires a minyan for public reading of the Torah. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and stop the recording.